Good morning, students. Myself, Anbhuti Saxena. I am your social studies teacher. Today, I am going to teach class 4 social studies, chapter 2, evidences in history, sources of history. Now, let us start. Now, sources of history. What do you mean by sources of history? Suppose you go to Taj Mahal with your parents and you know about the beauty of the Taj. But now you want to know more about it. Then what do? You either take information from the guide appointed there or turn over the pages of a history book or surf the internet. Here, the guide, the book and the internet, whatever you were using, become your sources of information for the study of the Taj Mahal. Similarly, to know about our entire past, historians take help of a number of sources. These sources of history are broadly divided into two types. First, the archaeological sources and second, the literary sources. Now we will discuss. Now, archaeological sources. In archaeology, we study about the human history and prehistory through the excavation of sites, analysis of artifacts, and other physical remains. These remains may be in the form of buildings or objects like pottery, ornaments, seals, tablets, etc. The scholars who study these remains are called archaeologists. The archaeological sources are the most direct evidence for the study of history and prehistory. These are the original sources which cannot be tampered by human beings. So, archaeology is the study of human history and prehistory through the excavation of sites and the analysis of artifacts and other physical remains. Archaeological sources. These sources include inscriptions, coins, monuments, and artifacts. Now I will explain each. Inscriptions are generally engraved in stone and metal. Thus, they serve as the most original and reliable sources of information, as it is not possible to alter the contents once engraved in the stone or metal. The study of an inscription also enables us to determine the method of writing prevalent in the period it was engraved. The nature of its script helps us to determine the age of the inscription. On the basis of their content, inscriptions have been classified as administrative, religious, commercial, literary and donative, etc. We can take an example also. Everybody has known about the King Ashoka. The inscriptions of Ashoka were mainly administrative and religious, as they speak about of his victories in the battles and his conversion to Buddhism. Next is coins. The study or collection of coin is called numismatics. The study or collection of coins is called numismatics. Coins serve as an important and reliable source for reconstructing our past. They generally give us information about the various kings that would have ruled in a particular territory, their names, and their particular field of interest, etc. They also give the information on languages, religions, monuments. Any building, a statue or structure of historical significance is called a monument. It may include temples, forts, palaces, tombs, monasteries, etc. Have you seen any monument? Yes. Monuments generally reveal information about the art, architecture, religion, and the social and economic condition of the people in the period of their construction. For example, the excavation of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro gave us an entirely new insight into the details of the Indus Valley civilization. And you will also read about the Indus Valley civilization in next class. Next is artifacts. What do you mean by artifacts? Artifacts are the objects made by human beings, especially one of cultural and historical interest. These objects refer to the works of art done by a man in the past, like paintings, sculpture, pottery, ornaments, tools, weapons, and textiles. The artifacts furnish valuable information about the social and religious customs, food habits, clothing, and means of entertainment of the people in the past. Literary sources. The literary sources of information for the study of history include religious literature, secular literature, and the accounts of foreign travelers. The books that were originally written by hand in the past are called manuscripts. They were written either on the palm leaves or the bark of birch trees. That time, those were writing the books, they were not having the papers. So they were using the palm trees, leaves, or the bark of birch trees for writing. Literary sources are religious literature, secular literature, and the accounts of foreign travelers. Now we will discuss about these. Religious literature. Literature that centers around religion is called religious literature. It is in the form of an epic or a play. The four Vedas, the Rig Veda, the Samved, the Yajurved, and the Atharvaveda. And two great epics are the Ramayana and the Mahabharata. These are religious in nature, and these books provide us valuable information about the religious, economic, and political life of the people in ancient times. Secular literature. Secular literature mainly deals in politics, science, and medicine. It has no religious or spiritual basis and is available in the form of stories, poems, plays and biographies of kings. The Arthashastra of Kautilya, the Astadhyayi of Panini, the Abhigyan Shakuntalam of Kalidas and Harshcharitra of Vana are some prominent secular literary works. They give us useful information about the social, economic and cultural life of people. Accounts of foreign travelers. The accounts of foreign travelers also give us useful information about our past. The Greek ambassador Megasthenes came to the court of Chandragupta Maurya and he wrote a book on India called the Indica, which furthers our knowledge of the Mauryan times. Huan Tsang Xuanzang is called the Prince of Pilgrims and his account is considered as the gazetteer of India. He visited the court of Harsha. Al-Biruni travelled widely in Punjab and parts of northern India. He wrote the Kitab-ul-Hind in Arabic. Ibn Battuta wrote the Rihla in Arabic. This book gives rich and interesting details about the social and cultural life in the subcontinent in the 14th century. So, what is the need to preserve sources of history? The historical and archaeological sources are the keys to know our past. The beginning of human existence appeared on the Earth's surface 5.6 million years ago. The evidence of human fossils, stone tools and cave paintings help us to understand early human history. In the beginning, human beings got food by hunting animals and gathering food produce. We find hunter-gatherer societies in some parts of the world even today. We have to keep these various sources of the ancient, medieval and a modern period in fact. So, there are some steps that should be taken in this regard. All types of sources should be kept and maintained scientifically. All types of important structures should be maintained with utmost care. And Article 49 of the Constitution of India also says that it is the duty of the state to protect monuments, places and objects of national importance. These should be protected from destruction, removal, disposal or export. Job of a historian. Who is historian? A historian is an expert who writes, researches and studies about the series of past events. A historian is particularly concerned with human affairs of a particular period. The main functions of a historian are: a historian, objective and scientific treatment of an evidence, documents and the other relevant materials must be analyzed impartially. Preconceived hypothesis and assumption must be avoided. Now, Job of an archaeologist. An archaeologist studies human prehistory and history through the excavation of sites and analysis of artifacts and other physical remains. There are main functions of an archaeologist. First, to excavate or remove earth carefully and systematically from an area in order to find buried remains. Second, archaeologists have discovered human fossils, stone tools and cave paintings. All these findings help us to understand early human history. Archaeologists have brought out numberless prehistoric evidences that help us to know early human history. The scientific methods of excavation carried out by archaeologists have opened the door to various civilizations. Now add to our knowledge. The Rig Veda is the oldest and principal Veda, composed in the second millennium, containing a collection of hymns in early Sanskrit. The Rig Veda is a Sanskrit word coming from Rig, meaning praise, and Veda, meaning knowledge. The Samveda is a collection of liturgical chants chanted aloud at the sacrifice. The Yajurveda is based on a collection of sacrificial formula. The Atharvaveda is a collection of hymns and ritual utterances. Now, home assignment. Read the chapter carefully. Explanation of the chapter is over. The exercises and question answers we will discuss in our next class. Thank you, students.